Going to do an insight video again today. Very much still I'm being sort of directed to the universal laws around sort of like ascended masters, around like transformation against transmutation, very much around sort of third dimensional reality and how this needs to be shifted, and it needs to be shifted through consciousness. Very much still seems to be what's going on, or what I feel the guidance is at the moment. Like I said the other day, I was given something when I was at the gym the other day, and they were sort of like talking about time and the outer world and the three-dimensional reality, this physical reality, how we're attached and how we're always being drawn outside into the external world, and how this is sort of like backwards. The fact that the internal world, or the inner world, of like the universal law of correspondence and like inspired action is very much around sort of like your inner source energy, and how we go within there. So it's about sort of like creating this sacred space within ourselves, and the 5D reality is a source energy that lives within us, and it's about co-creation. It's not about sort of it works in harmony, but it's not about an outer experience. I think a lot of us are drawn out into the outer world, into the 3D reality, the physical world that is outside, and the thing is, we have got a seed of creation, like a co-creation within all of us, and that is the 5D reality. That's the 5D blueprint, which is the source energy, and this is what we've been directed towards at the moment. I'm very much still keep getting told to go within. Like this week, I've applied for like for a new job within my own sort of in my own sort of like service area or my own organisation, and like the outer world comes into play where you're worried about, are you going to get an interview, are you going to get this and that, and all these things are drawing you away and they're attaching you, and they're taking you away from the moment, and what they're doing is they're taking you out into the outer world where you start looking at like, you know, how's things going to change, how's your job going to change, how's your working conditions, all those kind of things, but they're all external things, and they're very much like 3D reality. It's very physical, sort of physical reality, a physical world. But the inner world is very different, because the inner world is a world of energy, light, and vibration, and it's where you sort of exist on a spiritual dimension, which is the fifth dimensional reality, and that's very different. So it's like you go within, and then you become aligned, you become at peace with it, and that you start to trust, you start to create, but you also create from a place of being within, where you sort of like you connect into the energy and you connect into the light and you express yourself, and it's part of like the source energy. You start to flow with your guides, you start to flow with the celestial beings, the ascended masters, the angels, and you go within, and in that place you can create. It's because you're in a place of energy, and you're in a place of light, and what you do is you go within, and you sit within the energy vibration, and you sit there, and when you're in there, it's like it's peaceful. It's like a place of where you feel in harmony, and that's very much where you're supposed to be as a spiritual being. You're supposed to be in harmony, you're supposed to be in connection, and you're supposed to be sort of connected to that energy, and knowing that you're from that place, from that center, you can create energy, you can manifest. When you're in the external world, you're not manifesting, you're attached to something. You're being drawn out, and you're being sort of directed by external things that are playing out outside of yourself, so that there's no co-creation. You're just being pulled to things. So it's a very different kind of vibration. It's a very different kind of energy, and the 3D reality is very much around that. It's very sort of fast. It's very sort of it's not centered. It's very sort of like it jumps from one thing to the next. It's very much sort of where you're being pulled to things, but you're not really in a place where you're being centered and you're creating. So the fifth dimensional reality is very much around that. So what happens is you go within yourself, within your own center. That fifth dimensional vibration of frequency is a vibration of energy and light, and you can feel this because you start to feel your energy frequency when you sit within yourself. And when I'm talking about within yourself, it's hard to explain, but for me it's like I take 3 or 4 deep breaths, and I really sort of like feel my own energy frequency and vibration. As I sort of connect into that, then my energy frequency comes online. I feel like light energy, and I also feel open. Then I feel like I open to the flow of energy, the flow of the universe, because the universe is sort of like, because you're this essence and this energy and this source energy. You're part of the universe. You're part of this universal sort of energy, this universal flow. And you, once you awaken to that, then you realize that you can sort of like align with it, and you can work with it in harmony. That energy is there. That sort of like creative like essence, and that blueprint is within you. And the fifth dimension is about awakening to that, manifesting things. But again, it's about the fifth dimensional reality. It doesn't work on a physical reality. It doesn't work on like low frequencies. It doesn't work on sort of fear. It doesn't work on stress. It doesn't work on anxiety. It works on harmony. So you have to really go within yourself to become centered, and then start to open up to your own source energy, but you also your own intuition and your own communication. And this is where the flow opens up, this flow state, which is very much where, once you open up to this fifth dimensional reality, or this fifth dimensional energy frequency within yourself, it's about awakening to it. So it's not, I'm saying within, because for me it's like, when I'm it's like I'm in that energy frequency. I'm saying within because that's the way I've been told to describe it. But it's I'm actually in an energy frequency. It's like my consciousness is shifted, and the energy frequency is shifted. So you approach something, um, with that kind of harmony, that kind of energy, that light, that centeredness. Um, so you start to then align, and when you do that, you open up, and your energy channel opens up to start to receive communication from source energy, the source will or intelligence. And also you start to open up to your higher being, your higher sort of aspect of yourself, which is this higher being, or this higher beingness, or this higher self, or whatever you want to call it. I always say like my higher being, because I feel it's like I don't say my higher being, I say my infinite self. That's how I like to describe it. Some people say higher self, but I say infinite self. And I like to say the word infinite because I feel like it opens you up to all these infinite possibilities. It doesn't limit you. It doesn't um, it doesn't limit your opportunity. It's about really opening up, and allowing things to flow. And what happens then is you start to open up to this flow, and this source energy, and this channel of like the fifth dimensional reality. You start to receive insights, you start to receive communication. So you're not, this is how the co-creation process happens. You're not trying to manifest something outside of yourself. You're centered, you're in your own energy frequency, and then you start to receive um, information and communication from the source, but also from your infinite self. And it starts to open up and show you what your purpose is, where you're supposed to go. And if you sit in that light, and you sit in that energy, and you're open, then you can start to express higher aspects of yourself, and also start to really sort of create and vision those kind of sort of manifest higher aspects of self, like of spirit. And you start to work and live in a very much more spiritual way, which is much more in harmony. And your vibration, as it shifts and changes, will start to direct and bring in those kind of things that you need. That infinite part of yourself is always connected to you, and it's always working through you. And once you start to awaken to it, then it starts to direct that flow of energy, and that flow of light, and that flow of opportunities into your into your into your life, and into your reality. And because it's connected to source energy. It's been directed, and it's been sort of directed and guided by that, as with the guides, the helpers, the angels, the ascended masters. All of them are working with your frequency, your energy frequency. And it starts to, but you have to open up to that frequency. And once you start to do that, then it activates and opens up your energy systems, and your whole body will shift and change, because then your level of consciousness will shift, but also your energy frequencies, your energy frequency within your own physical body will shift and change. So you'll be able to manifest, but you'll also be able to integrate higher frequencies within your own physical body. So your reality will change, and you'll start becoming very much more different in them, because your energy centers will open up, and you'll have a very different experience as a spiritual being. You'll know that you just have to remain open. So when something comes in, and in it, there's a bit of information or insight that directs you something, then what you do is you harmonize with that frequency, that vibration, and as that frequency, that vibration harmonizes and integrates with your own energy system, it starts to create that outer reality. So you start to have that reality created, and this is where this sense of like universal law of correspondence is about. You're creating from the inside because you're connected to source. So what you're doing, because you're connected to your infinite being or infinite self, and you're creating from source, it's opening up your energy field and your energy frequency, to those higher aspects, but also higher manifestations. So the universe is then reflecting it and drawing it and creating it in your own reality. And then what starts to happen is you start to link more and more and start to open up more spiritual, and then your whole reality becomes much more spiritual. So then you've shifted to a whole new conscious level and a whole new level of reality, which is what's happening for a lot of people. But you have to start moving away from that time, that 3D reality that's outside of you, because the outside of yourself is an illusion. It's not reality. What within you, that source energy, that infinite being, is the true reality. Is your true nature. And it's about, once you awaken to that, then the outer reality then starts to align, and it starts to create in harmony with that. And that's the co-creation process, which is also part of the fifth dimensional reality and information. All spiritual beings know this, that they're interconnected. They're part of the universal law of oneness. They're not separate. They're interconnected with all aspects of the multi-dimensional being. They know this, of their infinite self, and each level of consciousness is a shift in frequency, is a shift in reality, and we have many different aspects to our energetic bodies, and we start to realize this, and this is what part of this shifting is going on, that we're starting to realign with those that our infinite selves and our higher selves, and also the spirit world and the spiritual and the spiritual energies that are around us, and the different realities that we're opening up. We're becoming we're being connected to that infinite universal community again, which is what a lot of us have been separate from for many years. You can go back to Lemuria, you can go back to Atlantis, which were probably the last times that we were in harmony with the universal communities and the ascended masters, the universal teachers, the universal guides, the great white brotherhoods that walked the earth. We were very much connected then, and it's coming back to that time. And this is why they say it's like a new dawning, like a new day, or a new age. So all that kind of things that are going on, because we're coming back into alignment, and the planets and the universe and all the frequencies that are coming down at the moment are helping that. They're helping the planet to start to really, really open up as well, and we need to start to do that. So I can feel the light building into my body and into my frequency and into my energy system as I start to talk about this. So I know, I can feel my sort of 3D body dissolving, little bits of it dissolving, the more I'm sort of talking about this kind of reality. It's about living in a much more different way, in a very conscious way, but in a way that's in harmony. It's in harmony and union with your own source energy and your infinite self, which is this multi-dimensional being that we all are. So it's starting to really open up to that. But you start dissolving more and more bits of it, and then and again it connects to Saint Germain with this universal law of perpetual transmutation, which is this. We all know that energy just transforms. It just changes form. It doesn't die. It just transmutes into a different form. It's the same with consciousness. So as our frequencies change, and our consciousness expands, then our reality changes. So everything is about consciousness, and everything's about energy and how that frequency is. And this is why the universal law of vibration is so important. The universal law of oneness, knows that we're all interconnected. We're all part of this source. We've all got this source energy. We're all co-creators. We're all part of we have this creative spark. We have this creative essence, and it's about opening up to that spark and that essence. And then once you open up to that source, it will direct you. It will direct you to your highest outcomes, to your highest purposes. And this is what it's about. It's about trusting, and it's about allowing yourself to be open, to receive and be guided. I think a lot of the time when manifestation comes up as human beings, we try and create with our physical and human mind, when it's actually we're creating with our energy, and our source energy is a consciousness. We're expanding and awakening, and that's what creates, and that's what the universe reflects and connects to. It's not a physical thing, it's a spiritual thing, it's an energetic thing. So this is very much around some of the things that I'm getting at the moment. But the flow is really important, because once you start opening up to that, then the flow of the universe is a two-way process, and this is where the co-creation starts to happen. So that's the insight for today.